All right, here we go. Final hour. Kick it off right now on this Monday morning, a brand new work week here. Appreciate you tuning in. Wherever, however you're tuning in from. We've got more Brewers talk coming your way. We'll hit that up as the Brewers will be taking their show to the friendly confines of Fenway this evening, taking on the Boston Red Sox. Brandon Woodruff will be getting his second career start for this season. So we'll talk plenty of Brewers coming up here. I thought we had a football thing, but nope. All right, just no breaking news here. So sorry, nothing like that. So
there's no special NFL day today.
There is no special NFL day today.
Surprising.
Yeah, right.
Trying to squeeze something in.
Yeah,
pre-release schedule day.
Happy, that is Justus Cleveland, by the way. SportsScene 13 extraordinaire. So happy Masters Week, sir.
Yes, indeed.
Happy birthday week, too.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. This is your favorite time of the year? One of your favorite times of the year?
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, selfishly, it coincides with my birthday, so it's kind of like one of those. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an enjoyable week because I know I'm taking Friday off to watch that moving day there.
Yeah.
See what happens at Augusta, hopefully. I know I've been lucky enough to have some of those days where they get rained out, and you're like, oh, great.
Is that easily the number one thing on your bucket list is going to the Masters?
I think sports-wise, yeah. I mean, that would be just to be able to go walk around Augusta National and watch golf probably the way it's meant to be watched. Like cell phones, you can't bring them on. It's just you're out there. Mm-hmm. Immersing yourself in something like that. I think that's a dream. Will it happen? Who knows? But man,
have you
it's
tried
right
to
there.
sign up for that? No. Yeah.
I just think about it's going to be a hit on the checkbook. How many rounds of golf does that equate to?
Would you be willing to sacrifice a whole summer of not playing golf to go to the Masters?
Maybe when I'm older. Right now, no. That to me, it just wouldn't be a good trade-off because I love being out there so much that it would just for that 4 days. If I 4-day pass and all that stuff, if it was ever possible, it'd be hard for me to pass up golfing.
Right. So we're going to talk a little bit about that coming up later on and such. So let's talk some Brewers to kick off a little bit with this. So 7-2 to begin the season. No Jackson Cheerio. They've had Andrew Vaughn for a game and such, and yet this team is putting up runs and really putting up runs against left-handed pitching as well, which is kind of, when you look at the guys who have really excelled, it's been left-handed hitters too. It's Yelich, it's Bryce Terreg, it's Garrett Mitchell. Right. Obviously, Gary Sanchez is leading the team in
home run leader, right, Gary Sanchez, that we all had penciled in at the start.
Exactly. So what's kind of maybe impressed you the most with this start for the Brewers?
I think it's just the continuation of what they've been doing is that grittiness. They've fallen behind in a lot of those games, giving up some early runs, and it doesn't even faze them. Mm-hmm. Yesterday was just that anomaly that they scored first. Right. Which just doesn't seem to ever happen. But, yeah, I think it's been that gritty. The pitching has just been solid, really solid, and you haven't seen any panic. You had – with the Miz, he gives up those early home runs and then his bounce back. Same with Woodruff in his first start, kind of gave up the 2 home runs, but they're not allowing guys to get on base to where those home runs are really gashing them for too much. So all around, it's just been solid play. And I think just kind of what have built the Brewers to what they are now is just that Pat Murphy knows how to get the most out of all these players. And we're seeing Garrett Mitchell. I think that's kind of been nice to see him get this chance to play. And he's making the most of it. I don't know if he leads the team in RBIs, but he's right there. I know.
Let me double check because he's got 11. He might actually be leading his team.
So, he's on pace for like 180 RBI this season. So, Hack Wilson. Watch out, Hack Wilson. Here comes Garrett Mitchell for that RBI record. I think it's Hack Wilson that has that.
If it is, kudos to you because that's a great name, Paul. He is, and the next closest is Yelich at 8. So
yeah. So that's great. And Yelich, we didn't know. You still kind of didn't know what you were going to get from Yelich because you're just not sure. He's getting up there. He's still obviously coming off a major back surgery. Still, that's always going to be there. It's always going to be linked. But he's been solid. He's getting the triple there yesterday to kind of lead things off for the team. It's really been as good of a start as you can imagine. Mm-hmm. And, you end up losing 1 to the Royals. but you play a doubleheader. So it's kind of like one of those where you can expect. It's so hard to sweep a doubleheader.
Yeah.
And to do that, still only, it'd be 7-2 at this point, off, 5 games above 500. It's a really good start for the Brewers.
It is. I mean, plus 28 in run differential right now, too, from the offensive side. Kyle Harrison, one of their younger pitchers, looks awesome so far. I know Brandon Sprout hasn't been the greatest start for him to begin the year, but Chad Patrick looks good.
Yeah.
Jacob Mizorowski looks good. Brandon Woodruff looked good in his first start, too. Bullpen has been really sharp more times than not. So, I mean, crucial hitting, clutch hitting, late game hitting for this team.
It's such a, and I know, we go back to the Council days when it was such a reliance on the home run that these guys now, I love the mindset shift to just get the ball in play.
Right.
Find a way to get it in play. You get the home runs will come, but let's not just rely on one thing. Let's play some small ball if we have to. And it really, it's a scrappy team, and it's just one of the more fun teams to watch in baseball, if not the fun, just because of the way they play the game right now.
Right.
Compared to a lot of the power ball that you're seeing out there in baseball.
Right. And, I know it gets talked about to death almost, but it's like they're kind of, is it fair to say the Brewers are kind of an annoying team for a lot of other teams because, they don't rely on the power ball. They force you to play some really good defense. All these 2-out hits, and then you throw in what you're getting from this pitching side. It's are they just kind of that annoying team that maybe nobody wants to play because you don't really have a good game plan to beat them because they maybe can beat you in multiple different ways.
Yeah, you're not, they're not looking for that one big hit. They have guys. It's it's the death by a million paper cuts.
Yeah.
That's how the Brewers play baseball, and it works. And I think if. The problem is obviously it's disappeared in the playoffs.
Right.
And that's where that's got to change. But, I think for these teams, I think like the Red Sox are looking at it. You're playing a lot of these American League teams that are just out there bashing, especially in that East.
Right.
They're looking to bash the ball. And not that the Brewers aren't, but they do. They find a way to get those opposite field hits. They spray them. They hit them where you ain't is still the way to play baseball. And I think that's what the Brewers do to the best in the MLB right now.
Yeah. I know the longest time they didn't have an error. They did have one error over the weekend, so Cincinnati's the only team now with no errors. But
it's pretty crazy to get this far in the season and not have something just bounce off a rock and hit somebody somewhere.
Right? Because you've got, there's Tampa Bay that has 13 errors. Washington has 10. Boston already has 9. So, it's stuff like that. But
the Twins, you take 13 runs this season so far. It's been a rough start for them. And sorry, Twins fans. I feel bad because I feel very bad for Twins fans right now for what they're kind of having to go through with the ownership and them just not putting on a team that I really think can be that competitive. And Brewers fans have been through that. There were years where you're just like, this is what we did. I think of. No offense to Dean Taylor and those days of those Brewers teams where it's like when Sean Barry, Jeffrey Hammonds, those were your big free agent signings, and you're like, we're not gonna do anything this year, are we? So for Twins fans, I really do feel for you, and hopefully something happens where you guys can get an owner that supports that team.
Right.
Doesn't try to sell them, then not sell them, which is, I guess, now a Minnesota tradition of putting your team up for sale and then at the last minute being like, maybe not. We want it. All right, sorry, there's my rant.
Nice. All right, tell you what, we got to take a quick break. We'll talk some more Brewers, though, coming up here as well. I do want to get Justus's thoughts on the whole Giannis drama that's unfolding right now before our eyes, and that. So, plus a little local sports roundup, too, because kind of a big week, I think, for baseball, softball, and a lot of those games getting underway here, too. And I know Blue Gold softball, we've got WIAC Conference now starting up this weekend, too. So big stretch for Blue Gold stuff as well. So, and I got to get your thoughts on Blue Gold basketball because big time
something happened.
Something happened. Something happened. So
I was sleeping all last week.
And I think, and a big introductory presser is it tomorrow, too?
Yes, tomorrow afternoon.
Over there. So we'll hit that all up on our local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. Quick break. We'll be right back after these few words. All right, we'll get back to some Brewers talk coming up here in just a little bit as we get set for the game against the Red Sox side. Excuse me, I had a little lifesaver trying to preserve my throat here. Now it's like made my mouth too watery and such. So
coming back from that spring break and
man, well, I'm just getting over like a weird sinus infection last week too. So that was my spring break. That was awesome.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I had something on Saturday. It was kind of the same thing, like where I was floored for a good 20 hours. Just like felt like I couldn't move, and thankfully it went away. But it's nice to go to your in-laws and then have to lay down and hide. And it's not like it used to be when, now in my 40s. It's just, that was it. Nothing else aided this. This just came naturally, which is even more fun.
So tell you what, let's do a local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Floors. Let's start off with the Blue Golds, shall we? Because I know it was a little over a week now, but we've got the introductory presser coming our way tomorrow with the big hiring of Hannah Iverson, the new Blue Gold women's basketball coach. So coming home. Coming home. Eau Claire North graduate.
Eau Claire North, yep.
Played college ball at UW Green Bay and such. Obviously, former UW Stout head coach. Went to the Final Four, not this past season, but the prior season for Stout. Sweet 16, I think, the year before that, too. So, I don't think I'm exaggerating, a big-time hire for the Blue Golds?
Oh, I think so. I don't think you could have gotten a bigger hire with as much name recognition in the area as you got with Hannah Iverson. She star at Eau Claire North, so obviously has her roots here. I believe still was living in town here when she was working over in Stout. So, gets her back home, closer to her family, a little easier for her. But, you go from Tanya, a legend, and you bring in Hannah, who had built such a good reputation over there at Stout. She'd been mentioned for D1 jobs too. So you got everything that, that as a staff there for the Blue Golds you would want to bring in and be the next generation here to lead this team. So, that it was surprising, obviously, when we got it. Yeah. It's just like, wow, what a grab for the Blue Golds. And it'll be fun to see her now at the helm here at the Sonnentag.
Obviously, probably adds a little bit more to the rivalry with Stout, too, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. So, it'll be some spice there. When I worked up in the UP, I remember one of the football coaches going from, NMU to Michigan Tech, or it might have been vice versa. And, when you have those rivalries like that it's your biggest rival and you switch sides, basically.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see when they play next year.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, especially maybe on the road over to UW Stout too. Yeah. So now the question to flip it over to Stout is, where do they go? Because their associate head coach also followed Hannah over here too. So they're going to be looking for a new head coach.
And that's the tough thing for Stout is obviously you've had Hannah come and take that team to heights, and now you've got to kind of restart. So I don't know. That's the tough question. That's that's going to be. Do you go? Like you said, you don't have kind of anybody in that coaching tree. Maybe that could take over there. Yeah. Maybe some ex-players, somebody like that. But it'll be an interesting search for them to see where they end up landing when that all is said and done. So it's a weird situation because I don't think I've had anything like that while I've been here in my 15 years. So this is. It's very, very unique, and it'll be fun to kind of see how it all plays out.
Absolutely. Softball-wise, I know they had a doubleheader this past weekend, dropping both games, kind of ending their winning streak here too. But now things are really going to get interesting. I know they got a couple games this week before the weekend when they take on Oshkosh in a full-fledged of WIAC conference games. But again, with Coach Huntington and her staff and Robin Baker, just another great start to this season. Yeah. And becoming, I know last week they cracked the top 25 for rankings and such, and I can't wait to see this WIAC portion of the schedule coming.
Right. And, Claire Beck, I believe, was the conference player of the week before, too. So you get the two-way player, the pitcher and the hitter. It has really been a great start for them to do what they were able to do here in non-conference, and now you roll it into WIAC play. And they got a game against Northwestern, I believe, tomorrow, and then they roll it on to conference play there. So good start for them. It's just such that program. Leslie does such a great job, Coach Huntington there, and that every year in year out, that's a team that has a chance to win the conference, and that starts at the top. And just the way that they coach that team up and get everybody in the right places, and it'll be interesting, come into conference play, but I think that's a team that has a chance to to go far. And I feel like that every year with them. But again, when you have a coach and a coaching staff like they have, that's a team that you just always, they're like, okay, this is a team that could make a run. And we saw what they can do in non-conference. So
right.
I think they could do it again coming in the conference play too.
Speaking of conference play, I know baseball for the Blue Goals are off to a 10-6 start.
Yes.
They've got Stout for a doubleheader today. Yeah, and then Stevens Point later on in the week, and then Whitewater. So, I mean, a busy week here for Blue Gold baseball. Weather cooperates. So.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, this is the tough part about early April. You start these conference play, and obviously you can't play baseball inside the Sonnentag, so you're kind of at the mercy. And I know, I believe Stout's playing at Wakanda Park, because the amount of rain we got, moisture in the last week. If you don't have, if the drainage isn't there, you need to find wherever you can. That's the same with the Blue Golds. You have Carson Park, but you also have Bollinger and Stein, I feel like different places that if you needed to, at least you can play. So, yeah, that team, it's good to see them off to a start like this. They've had their, since they've come back, it's been rough, but you could see it starting to ramp up, and I hope this is the year that they can make that turn, and it starts with conference play. It's playing Stout today to kind of kick off a big week of games. We'll see where they're at. I think there'll be a good test to see where both teams are at come after today.
Right. I got to give a little shout out to UW Eau Claire men's golf too, because they began their season. They finished with a top 10 performance at Illinois Wesleyan Invitational this past weekend. I know you and I talk a lot about this program for the last couple of years and just the consistency and rise that they've had. But I mean, to kick off their spring season with a top 10 finish, and we know it's hard to advance for nationals, but I mean, these are the types of finishes you probably need to get to that point.
Yeah, and I just, I look back on just how hard it has to be. Being in Wisconsin is not easy to just kick off and all of a sudden be out there and playing. As much indoor training as you can do, nothing compares to when you're actually out there hitting outside and playing in an actual conditions. But they got them going, and what a good start for them. And, I mean, the nice thing is they travel south for most of their tournaments this time of year, so they're playing in better conditions.
Right.
We're supposed to be in like the 70s next week. So who knows? Like, they'll be able to get out, hopefully. Get out now if you really want to. So, yeah. And Coach Skinner and the team usually just
he's ready to go. Dialed in. And you can even see the improvements, too, with the women's team, too. Yeah. So for golf. So
exactly. And then, they've gotten, with the simulators and improvement in facilities for them, that's obviously helped them continue to keep things and not have that drop off in the off season.
Right. Let's go to the high school side of things. I know for this week, we got some baseball. Again, weather.
Again,
with a lot of this.
Nothing's more fun when you're baseball players getting out there and today 39 degree. Well, that's going to be like the Blue Gold Stout. It's like, you're wearing the stocking caps and trying to keep as warm as you can, layered up.
Turtlenecks maybe underneath the jersey.
Exactly. So. But that's kind of what comes with the territory of playing this early. But we got baseball and softball kind of kicks into full gear. The last couple of weeks, it's been a lot of, we had indoor track and field going on that thankfully, like Stouts hosted how many of them? UW Eau Claire's hosted them. So, so now we get into baseball, and again, the whole week is filled with games. How many of those games get played? Field conditions are going to be tough, I think, especially early in the week here after all the moisture that was out there. But, got some games scheduled for Carson Park this week. I know North's supposed to open their season there. So, we'll see what we can get in. Yeah, that's just kind of roll the dice and hope you can get some of those games in.
From a baseball and softball perspective, when we kind of look at these seasons, is it kind of the usual suspects again? Do you think for potential for really good seasons like North baseball, Chi-High softball, sort of thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Big Rivers is pretty wide open. I don't know if there's one team that, in my mind, that's standing way out there right now, especially I think in our area. I think a lot of them are going to be even keel, so that makes it a lot of fun. Yeah, they're going to, every one of those conference games is going to mean something, really for these teams to battle, because I think I don't know if there's a team that is just showing that right now, and it's so early. Like you're kind of going off what you had from last year, right? But I don't know if looking at the softball, we did an Augusta game, and I wish I could think of her name, with the pitcher there who struck out the first 16 batters for Augusta. So you have a pitcher like that, it's going to take you far. And then, the McDonald's and Chi Highs of the world when it comes to softball are, that's just such a program for that town to, they have it just every year. They find ways to be competitive. Fall Creek obviously had a great run the last couple of years, lost a lot of players to graduation, but I think you're still going to have enough that's left. And then you can't speak to how much it helps the younger players develop to be on those successful teams and kind of see that winning culture. So I think Fall Creek will be able to make a run. Bloomer getting some of the, Zoe Fallhofer couldn't pitch last year because of a knee injury. So she's back, and when she's on the mound and she can hit, and that team's going to make some runs. Elk Mound has always got tough teams. So I always feel bad when I'm like naming off these teams because I'm always going to forget somebody, and I'm not trying to do that. It's just, especially this early in the season, you're just kind of going back to, the muscle memory of these teams that have made runs, and we'll just see what happens here the next. Augusta and Blair Taylor, I believe, have a game. That'll be fun because Blair Taylor always a team that is in the sectionals there for softball too. So
to kind of wrap it up,
Allevius Strum too.
To kind of wrap it up, golf wise too, because I always like to pick your brain when it comes to high school golf because we both obviously love, and I used to play high school golf too. I mean, we know this area is rich with so much incredible talent, boys and girls side, but with spring being the boys' high school golf season, same kind of, again, Eau Claire, you got Chi. There's so many good. Is there anything that we should be kind of keeping our eyes on, or is it kind of? Well,
you mentioned his dad earlier, but Elliot Skinner.
Yeah.
I think he's only a junior, and he's making national teams, and watching him, that's definitely one that that will be out there. A lot of these, it's been a lot of changing of the guard for a lot of these teams. Memorial had such a run there of just insane run.
Yep.
That now it's the newer generation, so we'll have to see. And Troy Byrne is hosting, I believe it's on Wednesday, so a lot of the D1 teams will be there. So we'll kind of get a taste of some of the teams there at Troy Byrne. Granted, who knows what the weather. Pack your parka because it might be a little chilly. I know Wednesday's supposed to be a little warmer, but I think there's supposed to be a chance of rain. So, so we'll kind of see that. We there's still some guys left from last year that were juniors and stuff like that, but it is a lot of a big change coming up, and kind of just see how it plays out the first few weeks and see, again, I'm defaulting to it's early in the season, but that's kind of how it goes. It's just like these teams are going to play through some horrible weather, but that's how you kind of develop who's going to stand out from the crop.
Right. Yeah. And then I want to give a shout out because I know you guys have done a really good job covering them as well. Team A-Bear for curling.
Indeed.
Continuing to rack up some national recognition too.
And their season as back-to-back junior national champions, and just a dominating performance over in Bismarck this last week. Just lost one match the whole time and got the win there on Saturday to take home their second junior national championship to go with the World Junior Championship that they won the month before.
Right.
Just an outstanding performance, and we're really seeing this team as they're starting to kind of get close to that wrapping up of their junior careers.
Right.
A team that I think is going to be a force. The fact that they got to go to, the Olympic trials this past year. I think this is, that's a team that all eyes are going to be on as they start making that transition into the realm of, the bigger ranks. But, as a junior team, they are the cream of the crop.
Right.
You can't, national and world champs, and I don't know how it all works if they'll have a chance to defend that next year, which I think they would at the world one because you won it. But
right.
Yeah. So we had Team McMullen and Kadlick too, two other teams from Western Wisconsin that were also represented over in Bismarck. So we're just becoming a curling hub here on this side.
Yeah, we are.
It really is fun. And it's, as somebody who I knew a little about the sport, it is more and more that you get involved and learn more and more about it. And the club has been great at, Fred Fetzer over there at the Eau Claire Curling Club of feeding us information, and Poplinski obviously too.
Mike,
yeah. So it's really been. You could see the love that they have for this team because you don't have this is a once in a generation grouping that they somehow these guys just all started playing together.
Yeah,
and now you're seeing them win title after title after title. So, you see the sky being the limit there.
Yeah, no doubt. Good stuff. JC and EC, Justus Cleveland, SportsScene 13 for our local sports roundup, brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. We got some breaking news, hoops-wise. We'll tell you what that is.
Ooh.
Little tease coming up after these quick words. So probably no big surprise, but just a little bit ago, it's being reported that John Blackwell he's leaving Wisconsin one way or the other. He is going to be going through the draft process. He'll enter both the NBA draft process and the transfer portal for his final season of eligibility. So a little bit different than last year where he entered the draft process but remained committed to Wisconsin. So if he was going to get out of the draft process, he was going to go back to Wisconsin, which is exactly what happened.
Yep.
This year is different. He is not coming back to Wisconsin. Either he's going to be in the draft or he will be gone elsewhere. So I'm not too surprised, to be honest with you.
I mean, when you enter last year,
I think he wants to go to the draft.
Right.
But I think he's like, okay, if I still don't get the grade or the round, I'm going to go somewhere probably to earn some cash. Then,
exactly, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You earn money before you become a pro, which you can do now. So, not a surprise. And I don't think it should be a surprise anytime now when somebody goes in the portal.
No. So
unless somebody who's like claimed to bleed, Badger red, like
right.
But I don't think we've really see that anymore.
That's the thing, and I throw this out to, and I know this was a couple weeks ago, but I saw some people after the Badgers lost that kind of get saying why can't Wisconsin keep their in-state recruits? They got to do a better job of this. Greg Gard's got to do a better job of that. And to which I would say, okay, try to put yourself in the shoes of a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid. You're in Wisconsin. Some may have that pride to play.
Yeah.
Maybe they are a Sam Decker or a Bronson Katie. But a lot of 16, 17, 18-year-olds, if they get a phone call from a Duke or from somewhere else, like the Cons of the world, that's going to get them a little bit more excited.
And it used to be just a phone call.
Right.
And a full ride.
Yeah.
Now it's a phone call, full ride, and money.
Yep.
So, I don't see how it's hard for Wisconsin to compete in that world unless you just, and obviously the money is a huge part now.
Right.
And how much, we don't know how much these guys are making.
Yeah.
So, you don't know how much John Blackwell got to come back to
exactly
the Badgers last year.
He's probably going to get a lot next year if he doesn't go through the draft and goes to the probably, I would assume, if it's not a bigger college, but it's going to be a bigger paycheck. So, So, it's a world, and we'll see, the executive order that was signed, if that can hold up and how much that affects when does that go into effect? Are people grandfathered in that are already right?
And there's a lot of legal questions that get arise from that order that are going to get challenged in court.
So I'll just say this: the one coach that the last couple of years who has constantly said one of his biggest misses was John Blackwell was Tom Izzo. And Blackwell is from Michigan, so it's probably not hard to connect one dot to where he could potentially go.
Right. You have that, and then you have Michigan in the title game.
Yep.
And they're going to need to get some players.
Yeah.
Does he go to a team that could potentially have just won a national title?
Right.
So, those would be, I'm not going to say it, but, Central Michigan maybe has a chance. Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, but I'm going to, Michigan State or Michigan probably have the best chance. I'm not going to, also NMU and Michigan Tech. Grand Valley State, State.
I would be shocked if Tom Izzo probably doesn't make the same mistake twice. And try really hard to get him to come over to Michigan State.
You didn't like me just trying to throw out all the Oakland. Gogebic Community College.
Hey, I played against Gogebic when I was at UW Barron County.
Gogebic. It's one of those, got to get to say it. And then, I'm channeling all my UP knowledge from working up there and all the different colleges, and I'm sure I forgot some. I think Michigan State or Michigan really have a good chance. And they're going to really have the money. So.
Yep. So, but it's just, that's where I would, again, go back to everybody complain. Yeah, I would love every Wisconsin recruit to stay at Wisconsin. And for us as adults and 40-year-olds or however, it's easy for us to say that. But I also remember when I was 16 and 17, and I wore a North Carolina hat.
Right. You had Wisconsin, but you kind of always had your side team that was like, okay, well, I want Wisconsin to succeed.
Yep.
But also, I kind of like this team over here.
When I'm playing March Madness on PS2, I wasn't Wisconsin.
Right.
You know, I was North Carolina or even Marquette with D. Wade on there or something.
Like me growing up, it was always like UNLV. Because I grew up, my mom's was born in Vegas. So it's always kind of had a little bit of a, or Arizona, and like I think Lute Olson, because he had like ties to North Dakota and stuff like that. So there was always those teams that you're like, okay, come on, Wisconsin, but hey, this team does it. I'm happy.
Yeah. So, all right. Back to, so since we're talking hoops, I got to get your thoughts on the whole Giannis thing. First of all, I keep giving it, but it's a fantastic piece by Lori Nickel.
Oh, Lori's, kudos to Lori. If you don't follow her, and like one of the hardest working journalists, best writers in the state, and this is just another, you know how much legwork she had to do to be able to get Giannis to talk about this.
Really open up too, and you can read it from her too, and just I think too she's not one of those like really egging and digging and trying, really respectful to the privacy, and I think athletes, especially Giannis, respect that too. That's why they give reporters like that.
I mean, I know Lori in passing, but what I get from Lori is there's not anything about touting her.
Yeah.
She lets her writing do the speaking, and I think that's what players respect, is that they know they're going to get an unjudgmented view of what they're saying. So, I going to it, and if you haven't read it, please, read the whole article. It was a tough year for Giannis because he was separated from, and I think you could see that. There was something early in the season that this wasn't the same Giannis that we've known. I think the whole season you've almost seen it, that this is a guy who wasn't in a place that he wanted to be at, especially on the floor. And then, the injuries and then all that pressure adds in. Yeah, I think it's tough. You want him to be happy because you don't want a miserable guy on your team that's not in a position to where he's going to be happy and want to be out there playing when he's just not in that right situation. So what it becomes is Milwaukee that place where his family could be with him, get the privacy that he wants for his family.
Yeah, that's what he might have to decide, right? Yeah. What's more important to him? Is it another championship or is it the prize? Because he said, I don't have a security team. I don't want to have a security team. That's why I love Milwaukee. Sorry, but if you go to New York or L.A., you're not going to get that privacy.
No. What I will say is the infrastructure for people with higher profile lives is there in those bigger cities. And this is kind of piggybacking on the whole LeBron James, on the whole Memphis.
Yeah.
And he's like, the two towns he doesn't like to play in are Memphis and Milwaukee.
Which I'm still confused why that got thrown. He said
why are you throwing Milwaukee under the...
Yeah.
Well, we've kind of all known this because back in even his first run with the Cavs, he rarely played in those games when they were in Milwaukee. So,
and if it's travel, I mean, it's farther to go to Charlotte. So I'm still confused by it.
I think, and I saw this, somebody commented on this, is that Milwaukee is more built... There isn't that infrastructure for those big-time... say rich, it's built for the working class. Even your bigger things in Milwaukee are built basically for the working class. So they were talking about like when Brewers go out, they're usually at places, they're public places. There aren't a lot of these private places that these guys go. So they're going to have to mingle with the public when they go out. And so I think for like LeBron, when you're the highest profile athlete in the world, you really can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I think that's what and I think Memphis is kind of similar to that. So
that makes sense.
And they would talk like Jordan was like the same thing with Milwaukee, that he didn't enjoy. There's just kind of not that, you can't be in a bubble.
Right.
You're out there. So from that perspective, in a way, you can understand it in a way, but also, somebody who takes pride in those towns, that's kind of a nice thing that those towns have, that they're
Well, maybe it's the benefit of somebody who plays for Milwaukee, like a Giannis, because you get the Midwest nice and the respect. But then if you're on the outside, it's like, of course you're going to get the gawkers then, right?
Right.
You're going to get the other side of that.
And it depends on how comfortable you are in that situation, and how much privacy. I feel like in my mind, Giannis is going to get more privacy in Milwaukee than he's going to get in these bigger cities like a New York.
Yeah.
Or a Los Angeles. That being said, there's probably more of a security detail and like people that know how to deal with the high class celebrity that comes with this than there is probably, say, in a Milwaukee. So it's a tough. Either way, it's tough because I think if you're honest, I think Milwaukee probably feels more like a home. Mm-hmm. But how much? I don't know. It really is. I don't know if I have an answer for this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he has an answer because you have to balance it. Like, you can't. Your family was in Greece for half the season. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not feasible for you traveling back to Greece.
And if the 2020 bubble was really hard where you thought about quitting.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, what is more important to you then right now?
But I admire the commitment he has to his family. Yes. That to me is like the biggest thing right there.
That should be your number one, and you don't see that a whole lot. I totally agree with you.
And it's just like he's got to – that's tough when you're one of the probably top 5 most recognizable people in a worldwide sport.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go, people know who Giannis is.
Yep.
But I don't know where you're going to find that. You got to find that balance. That work-life balance for everybody is tough, and I think – when you're a superstar at that level, I don't know how, balancing that private life that you want to have with a very, very public persona in what you do. I don't know where you find that. I always feel like Milwaukee and Green Bay, like people always talk Green Bay small when it comes to like NFL players, but you're not under the constant scrutiny and pressure that you would be if you're in New York.
Right.
Or if you're in L.A. I think L.A. might be a little more relaxed than I think the New York.
Like, I feel like you could probably get lost in a crowd in New York and L.A. compared to Green Bay, but at least in Green Bay, like I would say they put you on a pedestal. Like if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're Brett Favre, you're on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And maybe you could get lost, but at the same time, there's more respect within the smaller communities. Yeah. Does that make sense? I mean, I think so. You spent time, you live there, so you would know.
And was like you'd be grocery shopping.
Right.
And you'd be like, okay, that's a Packer player coming. Yeah,
and that's the difference, kind of what you're used to. Like, you go to New York and you're at a big fancy restaurant. You got the media outside waiting for you.
Right.
Nobody's outside waiting at Perkins, for somebody to come out when they're done eating or something.
But that's where that balance comes. Is like, okay, but you have places you can go if you're, let's say, ultra rich. If you're a millionaire, a multimillionaire, a billionaire, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there are places in those big cities to go. There's not really anywhere in Green Bay you can go.
No.
Milwaukee, there's a few, but there's not really that either.
Right.
So it's a balance, and I don't think there's a quick answer for this.
Yeah.
I think if he wants to be that guy he's got to be happy because the way he was this year, I don't know if they can find success with that Giannis.
Right.
They need the free-flowing, kind of happy-go-lucky Giannis to be successful because I think he put that pressure on his shoulders then to try to carry the team.
Yep.
And then there was no offensive flow. Like, you could see it when he came back after they kind of had that successful run without him for a little bit.
Yep.
You're like, okay, Giannis is coming back now. And then the offense screeched to a halt.
Yeah.
So there's changes that need to be made, and I don't know if Giannis is going to be part of this team or if he wants to continue. He's got to be happy. That's what it comes down to. He's got to be happy because if he's happy and he's in Milwaukee, they're going to be successful. If he's miserable and he's in Milwaukee, then why would you want to keep throwing that out there?
Exactly. Yep. All right, we got to take a quick break, and then we're going to wrap it up with some picks. Who are we picking for the national championship? And then we'll pick tonight's Brewers-Red Sox game. That's coming up after these quick words. All right, we are wrapping up this hour. We'll wrap it up the program. Just a couple minutes left here, so let's get to some picks, shall we? Start it off with college basketball national championship. Who you rolling with tonight?
Oh, man. I have to pick? Not two of my favorite teams in the world here.
No.
I'll go, why not Michigan? I used to love them back in the
The Fab Five
days. Yeah, so I guess I can it hurts being, a Wisconsin fan to say that, but Juwan Howard's not the coach anymore, so I'm kind of more okay with that.
Juwan Howard, how you feel right now? Yeah, it's like after a couple of years, it's like, man, I didn't screw that up.
Oh, you can be like, the best thing I did was get out of the way.
Yeah, that too. So, yeah. I got to say it because if UConn wins, I win our bracket challenge. So I got to go UConn. But I will say this. The way Michigan's been playing in this tournament, I do not feel good about that because they're playing really well. So
it's like they found a different gear.
Yep.
It's all Wisconsin. They helped them.
Yep. Yeah, right. So, Brewers, Red Sox tonight. Brandon Woodruff, game 2. Caleb Durbin's only gotten 2 hits.
Yeah, at least he's got 2 hits now because when he was 0 for it was not looking good for him. And
he had Isaac Collins in the series prior and Nick Mears, and now we got Andrew Monasterio and Caleb Durbin in this one.
I'm still going to go Brewers. Woodruff, hopefully he can get a quality start out of this. I know that Green Monster lurks there, but I'm going to say the Brewers get the win.
I'm gonna go Brewers too. Not to get too far ahead, but like tomorrow night's game 2 with Garrett Groshette and Jacob Mizorowski.
Yeah.
That has the makings of a good one. We'll see.
And the Miz, I've loved the way he's handled, giving up some early runs, but doesn't get. The emotion level, I think, has went down because now he's been there a little bit and done that. So I like that.
Normally, I would ask JC for his Masters pick, but we are going to record a podcast right after this, so that Masters pick is going to be right in that pod. So you're going to have to make sure you're tuning in to the pod to get
Freddie Couples. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, I wasn't supposed to. I love Freddie Couples.
If it's Freddie Couples, I would love that. That would be somebody I would cheer for 100%.
Yeah. I think he's the oldest man in the field. Him and VJ.
Oh, VJ Singh. I don't have that with the VJ Singh background there, too. So, all right. We only got about 30 seconds. Big thanks to JC for hanging out with us for a little bit. So
no problem. A big shout out to all those track and field athletes that broke records at the Stout Elite last week. Lauren McCullough continues to just be on a crazy pace. The Hartmans and lots of other ones. So
good stuff. So, all right. That's going to do it for us. Same place, same time tomorrow morning. We'll wrap up the college basketball season. Hopefully the Brewers off to